Speaking of the Giants losing to the Dodgers in the NLDS being the same as the Sharks losing to the Kings in a postseason series, I've yet to speak of the San Jose Sharks and the ways they have broken my heart on an annual basis. Shall I begin discussing some of the deep sports cuts they have given me? In the 2013-14 NHL season, the times were a-changing. The Detroit Red Wings and Columbus Blue Jackets would move to the Eastern Conference. The league would revert to 4 divisions after having a 6-division setup for 14 years. On top of that, a new playoff structure. Gone were the days of 1 through 8 seeds with reseeding after the first round. It would be a simple bracket setup with the top 3 from each division and 2 wildcards making the cut. This meant that division rivals would have to deal with each other more often in intense circumstances. It made for very competitive seasons as the years went by. In the first year of this new format, 10 teams amassed at least 100 points. 6 of them were in the Western Conference. The Sharks improved somewhat. They finished second in the division and 4th in the conference. In the first round, they would face the Los Angeles Kings. Again. They met in the second round the previous year. While the Sharks forced a Game 7 for the first time in 18 years, they couldn't get past the Kings and advance to the conference final. In Game 1, whoa! The Sharks aren't screwing around, are they? 5 unanswered goals in the first 2 periods? They meant business. Okay, they gave up 3 in the third, but Brent Burns got an empty netter to seal the deal. It was a little different in Game 2. The Kings jumped out to a 2-0 lead after the first period. Then here comes the Sharks, showing that 2-goal leads in the NHL are meaningless. They got 3 in the second period to take the lead. In the third period, they did it again! 4 goals in the third period. Patrick Marleau and Joe Thornton found the score sheet? That's 2 games in a row they found the net. Those 2 finally had gotten the message. They need to contribute for this team to do anything in the playoffs. Game 3 in LA was the first nail-biter of this series. The game was tied at 2 going into the third period. A minute into the third, Jeff Carter put the Kings ahead.
Still has it. He shoots. Score! Carter was in front.
Halfway through the period, rookie sensation Tomas Hertl would tie the game.
Back over to Vlasic. Shoots. Knockdown rebound. Save. Score! It looked like Hertl tipped it in, and the game is tied again at 3-3.
We're going to overtime. Once again, Marleau would add another overtime playoff goal to his career total.
Hannon now picked up by Marleau. Backhander. And he scores! And the Sharks win it to take a 3-0 lead.
The Sharks were dead set on revenge. But the Kings were not going to make it easy. Of course they weren't. You know the old phrase in Stanley Cup playoff hockey, the 4th win is always the hardest. In the 4th game, that would be the case. With the teams going into the second period tied at 1, the Kings would dominate the second period with 3 goals. The Kings win 6-3 and live to fight another day. The Sharks sweeping a playoff series is a rarity. They've only done it once in their history going into this series. Game 5 of the tank, the Sharks failed again to put the Kings away. Tyler Toffoli, Anze Kopitar, and Carter scored, and Jonathan Quick's net was impregnable. I'm having a little deja vu here. I've seen this movie before, but where? Back to LA for Game 6. Although the Sharks have had a lousy Game 6 record over the years, they were 3-1 going into this scenario since 2010. It would be another tight game headed into the third period with the teams tied at 1 apiece. Halfway through the period, the wheels came off.
Kopitar to Gabrick, up the middle. Now picked up left side. Martinez shoots. Tipped in front. Score!
After Kopitar scored his second goal in less than 90 seconds to put the Kings ahead 4-1, I was getting really pissed off at this point. I screamed into a pillow, "How hard is it to win one freaking game?" History had repeated itself. This wasn't the first time the Sharks dropped the next 3 games after winning the first 3. They did this in 2011 against the Red Wings. Could the Sharks do it again and save face? Game 7 at the tank on the 20th anniversary of their shocking upset over the Wings in 1994. The Sharks looked like they could stop the momentum the Kings had over the past 3 games. Matt Irwin put the Sharks on the board first with the goal 28 seconds into the second period.
Irwin, he's got some room, walks in a little bit, rip shot, here's goal! San Jose on the board first, 1-0.
This is what the Sharks needed. However, almost 5 minutes later.
Downey back over to the hammer to safety. On the end, and then Gamble third line comes back and over to the goal. Drew Downey. Pass the ball back in, score. Talk about patience. What a play by Anze Kopitar. Here's it goes back to Toffoli, score. Tyler Toffoli, top shelf. And LA has a 2-goal lead. Tips it across for Dustin Brown. Brown is going to tip top to it. And LA is going to join a select group of teams. Now just the fourth to ever win a series. Now Hurl again, trying to get it to the point. It's knocked down, and the Kings able to clear, and that will do it. The 2014 LA Kings have made history.
I didn't feel anger after this game. It was a feeling of helpless surrender. I felt like I watched a loved one die of cancer. A slow, painful fight with cancer that took a week, but it felt like years. The Sharks would once again be the punchline and made history for all the wrong reasons. To add insult to injury, these same Kings went on to win the Stanley Cup that year. Would the Sharks have went further if they didn't choke? Nope. They would have dealt with the Ducks, and they probably would have lost to them in 6 games. While this was a very painful memory of abject failure for the Sharks, there's another one that has me seething with anger whenever I see the banners hanging from the rafters at the SAP Center. Oh look, the Anaheim Ducks are the antagonists. Nice segue, huh?